Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Attack Wrap. I'm your host, Nick Kennedy, joined today by Owen Sound Attack head coach Scott Wray. Scott, thanks so much for joining us on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
Wanted to go over just a little bit about your history being new to town and, I guess new again to town. You playing here a long time ago now, I believe it was 96, and what were those few games as a Owen Sound plater like for you?
No, they were a lot of fun. There was a really good big leadership group here, and they were a bit of an older team, and you learned a lot from the older guys, and you wish you can go back a few years and say, you know what, I'm going to stick this out and play here as long as I can, and but I got moved at the deadline, and then I went to North Bay.
Yeah, so played with the Centennials there 3 years, moved in your last year, I believe.
Yeah.
What was that transition like going from Owen Sound to North Bay? Different cultures, different kind of. Was it a different kind of hockey played up there?
Oh yeah.
Down here.
Yeah, it was way different. It was here, like I said, they were a more mature group. Mm-hmm. They were going for league titles, and North Bay was going through a huge rebuild, and it was all a bunch of kids. And when I got there, it was I think the oldest core group was about 18, 19, where here it was they had their core overagers or 19-year-olds or 18-year-olds, they had them all set, so it was a big difference.
I think they were just coming off of a league victory in 94 and then moving up there in 96. Does it have any sort of feels? I mean, we've got a very young core of kids that we see coming up now through the attack system. Do you see any similarities there, like just a good young group that is looking to kind of break out or keep building, things like that?
Yeah, we had in net, we had Alex Auld, so you can sort of say Carter George, Alex Auld. Sure. There's a guy that played in the NHL, I believe 10 years or so. So, and then you had your overagers that were not yet drafted, and Tejas Jordan could have been the same thing as what we had going in North Bay. So a lot of similarities, but the game's changed so much that it's a lot different now.
Sure. Lots of minor pro experience as well. It seems like kind of the most consistent team through there being Rapid City Rush, playing not just as a player but also being an assistant coach. Yeah. How do you manage double responsibility like that?
I had a really good mentor with Joe Ferris, and he really helped me on and off the ice. I was with him actually in Texas for, I believe, 5-6 years too. So, I learned a lot about the salary caps, and then how to do all the road trips, and then the hotel bookings and the meal bookings, and not all the glamorous stuff you want to do, but and it was very valuable to what I brought to North Bay.
Excellent. I want to take you back, just for all the fans here, maybe you can kind of relive overtime in Game 6, and in front of the net, Les Reaney shoots the puck there.
Oh,
this is
that's
your
what
first
you're talking
year
about.
In Rapid City.
Yeah.
I can't remember what year this was. I think it was 09-010.
It might have been.
09-10.
Yeah.
And Game 6, you guys are up 3-2.
Yeah.
And 2 late goals in the third period for Rapid City, pushes it to OT.
Yeah.
And 39 seconds left. Shot goes off from Les and then bounces off the goaltender, off of you, and then
off my butt.
Of the net.
Yeah.
So
I was in the right place at the right time.
Is that one of those things that you and Les talk about, who gets real ownership over that goal, or do we just go based off of last touch goes in?
I'm still upset that he got the MVP of the playoffs. I don't know how that happened. It was rigged, but no, him and I are really good line mates together, and all I remember about that game is the fans didn't sit the entire time.
Wow.
So you had I think our capacity was about 5,800, but they stood the entire time and cheered and cowbell, and you couldn't hear yourself think. And like you said, we came back and made a game of it, and it went to triple overtime. And just finishing a route, going to the net, and it went off my butt and in the net, and it got reviewed. But back then there wasn't as much reviewing as there is now, thank God, because the reviewing gets a little long now. So, but yeah, it was an amazing feeling. My mom and dad were there, my kids were there, and my wife. It was awesome. Amazing. You play that long, and you realize you wish you would have done a few things different to win that championship, because it kind of makes everything worth it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And you know, you want to give that to these kids here, like whatever temptation you have off the ice, or you don't want to do that last rep on the ice, like that championship's going to be really worth it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter what level. It's you're working your butt off, and you know. I remember we were playing against Allen, Texas, which is a suburb of Dallas. It was a 20-hour bus ride, so we had to fly there, and I still think it was about 4 or 5 hour flight, right?
Oh,
so it was crazy. It was right cross country, and it was a heck of a series. And Jordy Ben was on the team of Allen, so there's some NHL guys that we beat, and you know, it was a lot of fun.
Excellent.
Yeah.
What was it like for you? I mean, you played with Rapid City for a number of years there, and then your final season being the final season of that entire CHL league, and eventually it dissolved, and you know, Rapid City still exists more in I think in an ECHL capacity now.
Yeah, it does. You know, unfortunately, they don't have the following that we had, and that's kind of like the norm in the States, is where, you know, like you saw Utah in preseason game last night. It was just jammed.
Yeah.
And that's how they are. Like right away, it's packed, and it's just crazy in there, and then, you know, you're there for 4, 5, 6 years, and it fizzles out just a bit. Or people want to see a product. They're paying money. They want to see a good product on the ice. So, but yeah, we were in the Central Hockey League, and it was actually owned by Boston Pizza and the Tree Livings.
Yeah.
So it's pretty interesting. And then it went to the East Coast Hockey League, where there's a ton of different rules, and you know, for the good and the bad, I believe. And you know, they want to have 31, 31, 31 across the board for affiliation in American League, East Coast League, which is great for the game. But when I played, there was like 6 leagues that you can go to, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, and I love talking with Digger about where he's played and the stories he's got, and I can honestly, if he wrote a book, I'd be the first one to buy it, because it's just I lived it too, so it's almost like you would put it in fiction. You know, things that you had to live through or do, and it's quite interesting that it actually really happened.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. For you, what was it like then? I mean, you know, I don't want to expose anybody here, but you know, I've heard you might have had a fun experience, kind of promoting tickets and things like that through your time as you know, in the CHL.
Yeah.
What are some of those things that you have to do to, like, just to sell tickets?
There's nothing I wouldn't do. Like, there's just honestly nothing I wouldn't do. And I had fun. Like, I still have fun doing what I'm, like, I love what I do, because I'm just who I am. And, you know, like, we would have to do the craziest things. You know, like, I'm trying to think, like, it would be like a Will Ferrell movie. Like, you know, like, I remember doing one where we had to do a full skit going through all the skate sharpener and then all the business offices, and, you know, and it was to mock the Geico commercial, Guess What Day It Is?
Oh, okay, yeah.
And, you know, and at the end he goes, it's hump day.
Right.
Well, we did, it's game day.
Nice.
I remember a good friend of mine, Damien Surma, did this Gangnam Style, and we literally going up and down the elevator, and it's opening, and he's doing the dance, and you have our mascot and like the cheerleaders doing it with him.
Nice.
And you know, there's things that, like, just crazy things that just we did, and you didn't realize what you were doing, but it brings a lot of value to what you learn growing up. And then you can get into the business world and talk to anybody, you know, that'll listen, and those things will go a long way.
Amazing. How much of that business world ends up coming into your playing experience and maybe even your coaching experience? Oh,
a lot. I would say, like, even like at the end of my career, when I was done coaching, I was trying to figure out, the reason I finished is I had my 4th shoulder surgery, and I was just like, I'm done. And I got into the front office selling corporate sales.
Okay.
And it was something just to try out. And I kind of felt like it was kind of a, let's make this kid work for his money that he's getting from workers' comp. I don't know, but it was, you know, but like I said, I'd talk to anybody. I think I sold $100,000 in like a month and a half, and you know, I put an ad on the back of the Rush mascot, because 9 times out of 10 he's walking away from you, so you might as well see something there. And yeah, it was just take people golfing, and all of a sudden sign a $10,000 deal, and you're just, this is fun, you know. And it was just learning different avenues of business.
Is that something that ever came into your OHL experience? Is that something that like kids in this OHL, this era, are kind of prepared for their pro careers, or is that an element, you know, as the years go on, that becomes more and more separate from the player's experience?
More and more separate. You got to remember, I was 35 when I quit hockey. I don't want to say I retired. I quit. Like, I was done. Like, you retire from the NHL.
Yeah.
Like, in the minors, you just quit. So, no, it's just you get so much more comfortable. And I was, you know, like you said, I scored the game-winning goal for the first South Dakota Pro Championship ever in hockey. So you're the face of the franchise, and I was with the coach for 10 years, going back to different places, and so you're really comfortable doing stuff like that,
right?
You know, and you know the owners would put you on their private jet and go to Vegas and play 3 golf rounds in 3 days and then come back, like stuff like that. It was crazy.
Excellent.
But a lot of fun.
Do I understand correctly that to this day your jersey is the only one retired in
No.
Rapid City Rush history?
No, it should be.
Okay.
It should be, but no, they have Danny Bottaccio that played in Ottawa. He was a goalie for the Ottawa 67s. And then they have one Riley Wazlowski, who, you know, both of them have done a lot for the community, a lot more for the community than I ever did, because I was there. And then with, you know, being Canadian, my wife being from North Bay, my kids being born in the States, I wasn't able to have a green card, so I had to come home. And Riley married a woman from Wichita, Kansas, and you know, they've had a baby boy, and he does a lot with the minor hockey system there. And Danny's still there. He also has a couple children, and he's a big mortgage broker there. So yeah, so you know, sometimes I think for me, they retired my jersey just to get 10 or 20 more people in the stands just to sell the ticket, but who knows?
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, hey, I'd love to hear a little bit about just kind of your coaching philosophy and style. I mean, you've got coaching experience both on the ice as a player coach in Rapid City, a number of years now with North Bay, multiple conference finals or division finals there as well. Like, what is that? What about your philosophy and your style of coaching? Of course, along with the rest of the team and the other coaches, what is it about your style that you've found this kind of success in?
I don't know. I'm true to myself, and you know, the kids will sniff out if you're fake. And you know, I want them to know that I really do care for them, and there's anything they're going through, I've been through it in my life, and that's pretty bang on. And you know, everything in life you have to work for. So you know, that's what I believe in playing right now. Is like, you know, I don't know, the rankings came out today, and we're 20th out of 20. So you know, good. Yeah. That's good. Yeah. Perfect. You know, that gives us something more to work for and to achieve as a group. And you know, those things you don't forget. Yeah. And those things, you know, I had it on the big board and the screen today when everybody walked in, just so they could see it up there. And then I found out nobody knows what Ted Lasso is in the room, which I kind of got a little frustrated about. But, you know, it's just, and then I brought up Mr. Irrelevant, you know. Yeah. Those are things that are, you know, you got to use as fuel. And so, you know, back to your question, it's, you know, I believe that hard work's going to pay off, and you know, it's one of those things in practice that we're trying to instill, and not to cut your routes, and not to stop until the whistle's blown, and work like a dog on a bone. Excellent.
What I've really appreciated just kind of watching practices the last few weeks is you come out, you know, obviously the guys get whatever warm up they're going to get in, and you blow the whistle, and they don't necessarily, like, right away, they don't need to congregate around the board, see what's going on. You blow the whistle, they know what's going on.
Yeah.
They're in their positions. Yeah. They're already getting ready. Even just today, up to the dot, like, they know what they're doing right away. And,
yeah.
It seems to be that there is this kind of a level of professionalism that you're holding the boys to, as much as they are children. It seems as if, you know, almost a goal of yours is to make sure that they train like professionals.
Yeah, you know, you don't want them coming out and lollygagging and taking up 20 minutes at the board, and then at the next level, they're not going to do that either. And that's what you're trying to get them to, is the next level. May that be CIS or the NHL or the American League or Europe or the East Coast Hockey League. So we pre-ice our team every day. We pre-ice them, show them every drill. We pre-ice it twice with the Europeans so that they know exactly what's going on. And it's just vital for everybody to be on the same page. And it's awesome when the kids do come up and ask questions because they're engaged. I don't know how this happened, but like I could see a drill now that I could see it once, draw it out once, and I know it forever.
Right.
But when I played, I would like see what the coach did, and I'd be like, oh, I better go third.
Right.
And that's just, I knew who I was. And there's still kids on our team who know that too. So, but I'm trying to make it a lot easier of a process for them so that when we do get out there, there's gone are the days, I believe, of getting on the red line and going blue line, red line, blue line, red line. We're going to do that in practice. We're going to practice for an hour and 15 fast and hard and quick. And that's where we're getting our conditioning.
Right.
And, there are days that we will get extra conditioning, but doing this at a high level every day, they'll notice it big time.
It seems like there needs to be like and from what you display, a level of patience as a head coach, especially working with kids. Watching even just today, a pass coming across ice and it's in the back feet of a kid, like it's on his heels, can't pick it up, and instead of just kind of blowing the whistle, sending them to the back, it's okay, reset, try this again, get it right, and then back to the line. Is that something that has developed in you over your career?
Yeah, I believe so. Like I started with Tier 2 Junior A. I got hired by the North Bay Battalion. Stan Butler hired me to do their affiliate team, and I learned a lot in the 3 years that I was there. Like, you can't go in there like a bull in a china shop. You gotta have patience. You gotta understand that they're kids and they're not professionals, and you gotta understand that they're all habit-based things that you got to improve on. And that's the first thing. One of the first things I told this group is, there's only one puck in a game. So if it's in your feet, like you said, or if it's behind you or ahead of you, go get that puck, because that's the only puck we're going to have today. And it's working right now for them. It's becoming a habit. I love it when a kid misses a puck and then he goes and finds that puck. And it just shows you that they're buying into what you're selling.
Right. Excellent. How, for you then, as a coach, how do you kind of embrace that adaptive element, I suppose, of coaching, where you are on the ice with the kids during practice, but during games you're on the bench and then you're in the locker room with them, or you're on the bus? Like, how does being a coach affect those areas as well of your relationship with the kids?
Well, I think it only helps. They understand that you're human too, and they see the way you conduct yourself, that they want to conduct themselves the same way. Like getting on the bus with a quarter zip on and your pants and your shirt tucked in with a pair of dress shoes, and instead of getting on and having a hoodie and a backwards hat. But those are the habits that they're going to need to go forward in their professional careers, maybe hockey, finance, or whatever it takes them. So I just find it's just like I said before, being true to who I am, and understanding that they're kids too, and they might have questions, and they might, you don't want to. I've played for coaches that you just live in fear, and that's hard. It's really hard. Now there is a time and a place for to reinforce your message, but at the same time, you don't have to be on all the time where where the kids are in fear.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense. How for you then, how do you kind of embrace, or do you embrace as a coach the personal lives as well of your players? Like, is that an area that a head coach needs a certain level of involvement in, or is there a benefit in a locker room to having distinct boundaries, and they have the people that they go to with it, or is it this holistic approach to coaching?
No, I think it's no secret I have a kid in the league. So I know he has a mom, a brother, and 2 dogs. And that he cares so much about them. So for me, I'd like to know what our kids have. You know, Sam McHugh, what do you have at home? Like, I'll sit down and talk to them, and and ask them if are they missing home? How's your mom? How's your dad? Like, I understand that those are hard things to leave. I'm doing it too right now. Yeah. My wife's at home and she's taking care of the family, and it's all about sacrifice. And I want to know these things. I would do that as an assistant last year. I would sit down with Jacob Tarian and ask him, what do you miss the most? And he missed his dog. And sometimes they just need to go home for a day to see their dogs, and then come back. But that's all part of being human and growing up. I miss my dog. Yeah. I don't miss doing all the work with her, but I missed her doing the zoomies through the house and just laughing at her half the time. But those are things that you learn about your group. You learn about even my new assistants. They have their wives or their fiancés, and and you learn what makes them tick too.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Well, and it's something that I've come to appreciate about some of the things that you've brought in here to the Attack is, during Rib Fest in Owen Sound, everybody's having a good time there, and the kids got an opportunity to go home to kind of get that mental reset to then come back to camp, and it looked like they appreciated it. Like, they came out flying, and it's a great thing to see. So it's I think on behalf of the fans, we appreciate it.
Yeah, well, like I said, like, I know when they need a break. And when we have this orientation week and guys are all gone to NHL camps, and it gets long, and you can only practice so much, and it's a nice reset for everybody. It's a good reset for Andy Brown, Trevor, myself, my assistants, and everybody. It's a good reset.
Excellent. Into some of the more technical aspects, I suppose, of coaching. We chatted with both assistants last week about some of their philosophies and how many philosophies there are around forming lines, and how you go about assessing, I suppose, chemistry between players. Mm-hmm. Do you have any techniques that you use to be able to assess that chemistry? And are being friends off the ice always or usually relative to chemistry on the ice, or is there not as much of
it could work for you or against you, because their best buddies off the ice are always together, and then they're on the ice together, and then all of a sudden they start bickering because they're always together. So you never know. There's other philosophies where you have the 2-1 system, and you have two top players on each line, and then you fill in the other ones so that they could insulate them a little bit. And but with a young group like we have and some new players, Bruce McDonald coming in, and he can fly out there, and but you don't know who's going to really click with him right away. Like, I really liked what I saw with him and Hookie and Waddick against North Bay. They set up a face-off play right off center to start the game, and they had 2 or 3 scoring chances right away. But that's a veteran line, and that's what you talk to these kids. They have to always be scheming. Like, you watch your craft. Like, just get on the bench and don't just look at your skates. Watch the game. Talk about what you're going to do at your next face-off. But that's what makes a line tick, is when you see the chemistry off the ice and on the bench, and those things really happen. I've been fortunate enough to see a line with Anthony Romani, Dallin Wakely, and Owen Van Stietzel, and I think if we added up all the points, it was 304 last year. So it was crazy, and the one out of the 3 who didn't even get an NHL invite, and he had 40 and 44, I think, and 88 points or 84 points. Wow. And it's like, wow, like, how does that happen? Right. But I saw that start and percolate right from their draft year. And, and that's when you see Bowie and Kindry and Gates and those young guys playing together, you get chills, because you sort of see that happening already, right? And it's a lot of fun.
It seems like, from our conversation with Dale and watching a couple of these games, and especially watching training camp, it seems like there's a lot of hope that's kind of growing among the team. Like, they seem like, obviously expectations are measured, but They seem to be having a lot of fun this year, and it looks like, you know, in the years to come, there's a lot of hope for this team. Like,
oh, for sure,
great players that
yeah.
aren't going to make the team this year.
Yeah.
They're fantastic players, and they will be fantastic players next year.
Yeah, and there's some really good guys at camp that, you know, we couldn't keep, but they're in really good hands. And there's some guys that we've already keeping an eye on, and they've got off to good starts in the OJHL, and that's awesome. It's only benefits us. You know, you don't really want, like I talked with Dale, and the big thing is we always talk about homegrown overagers, and like it's the guys that have been with your program. Landon Hookie came from the Sioux, but he came early, right? Teos Jordan's drafted here, I believe. What was he, a 14th round pick?
Yeah, late.
You know, look what he's done with his career. It's outstanding. And then we brought in Bruce, and Bruce is he's a glue guy. He's an awesome kid in the dressing room. You don't think he's 21 by the looks of him.
Absolutely.
It's ridiculous, but another guy that he's the kind of ones that you could bring in because he's a respectful, good young man where you're not getting somebody's problem.
Right.
You know, and I've seen that time and time again, and those guys are what are going to fill your message, and I lean on those guys. Like today, just hey, we need no phones in the room. Right. We need this, and I'm going to you, and I got to hold you accountable. Yeah. So just things like that, just
fantastic, excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got about a minute and a half here before break. So before we do head to break, we want to share with you today's trivia question, which is, which OHL team drafted head coach Scott Wray? What was the year and round as well? If you can get that, you are going to be receiving a pair of tickets to the October 5th game against Kitchener. I believe that is a Saturday here at the Bayshore. So make sure you get those phones out. The number will be at the bottom of the screen when we come back. Got to get to Hockey DB or something. Figure that one out. Elite Prospects will give you the answer too. Find that and send it in, and you'll receive a pair of tickets. They will be at the Bayshore box office. You can pick them up there as well. When we come back, we're going to continue a few more questions here about coaching, and then I believe we've got a couple of highlights for you as well. So make sure you stay tuned here on Rogers TV, and we'll be right back after this break, and check that Hockey DB.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
This pitching clinic so far.
I'm Kevin Gosman, and this is the art of pitching.
We had a plan. Catcher, pitching coach, and I talked about before.
Just attack guys from pitch one.
Huge strikeout.
When it comes like body language of the hitter, it's more so like how aggressive they are.
Is some kind of locked in right now.
You look at if they move or try to get closer to the plate, the more that I can keep the pressure on them, they can't get in the rhythm.
He understands the art of pitching.
Hi, I'm Vivica Gravel, Community Development Coordinator with the City of Owen Sound and the River District. And welcome to My River District. This is a show where every week we'll be here at Rogers Studios talking to you and talking to local businesses and people in the community about why they, as locals, love it here. They'll also share some stories about their businesses and how they can help you. So meet us here every week, Rogers TV, for the whole season of My River District.
Public transit, garbage pickup, parks and recreation programs, snow removal on your street. How can you stay informed about these and other important local services? Tune to City Council coverage on Rogers TV. See your community leaders at work on Rogers TV City Council coverage.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Attack Wrap. I'm your host, Nick Kennedy, joined here by head coach Scott Wray, and we do have a trivia winner. So congratulations to Bev Piercy. Bev, you've won yourself a pair of tickets to the October 5th game here at the Bayshore against the Kitchener Rangers. So make sure you stop by the box office and let them know that you won the Rogers TV tickets, and you can pick those up. We'll jump back here into just a couple of questions. I'm curious, for you, Scott, what defines success? Like, how do you look at, let's say, a practice and go, that was a successful practice?
No, I think that's a broad question, but what we're looking for here is execution right now. Being a younger team and being everybody's new.
Yeah.
The whole staff's new, and we're new to them, and they might be stuck in their old ways and in different practice habits. And not saying the way other coaches, I'm perfect or they're imperfect. I'm just saying, but my non-negotiables might be different than theirs. And
sure.
But I think with our group, I really like the way we're practicing right now. I think we practice at a real good tempo. I really think they're having fun. I'm actually surprised at some of them how they want more.
Yeah.
And when we do a pretty, like today was a pretty heavy day of one-on-ones, two-on-twos, battle, a lot of skating, and they wanted more, and it was fun, and they're cheering each other on, and that's what I find successful is when you see a fifth-year vet pushing a first-year guy, and vice versa.
Excellent. I've been noticing the guys staying out on the ice even beyond when they're supposed to be out there. And the Zamboni is practically pushing
getting
them
us in
off
trouble.
right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
So that's fantastic. For you, in a game situation, I mean, of course, a successful game is when you walk away with, a point in the win column. But what are some other successes that you would look at in a game? Like, are you looking for things like a breakout time for a player's maybe slumping, or what are some other indicators, I suppose, of success for the team and for individuals in a game setting?
I believe in our room we have certain standards that we hold, and there's certain pillars that we're looking for every game, and we believe as a staff and as a team that if we pull the rope in those different pillars and those non-negotiables, that we will be successful. And a big thing for us is our track, or the old saying was back checking, but we call it, our terminology is tracking. And we want to see that, that F3 tracking on a 45, and we want to see him, like, another word we use is dog on a bone. And we want to see that. And we find in this league, if you can win the battle in the neutral zone, you're going to come out usually on the winning end most times.
Excellent. That's I think that's a good visual for any of the junior attacks out there, is being a dog on the bone. Similar to how you talked about, there's one puck and they got to fight for it. So
right, and we're telling our D right now too. It's like when they get the puck, get on your toes, and it's for 3 strides hard up the ice, or laterally, like get moving so that you have an option to make a play, instead of just standing there and sagging back where you're bringing them back to you. And that's a big thing with our young D. Like we're trying to get them, more involved, and they're very mobile. Like we have some really good mobile D, and Gabe Smith has taken strides in just this short preseason, and Rogers is a lot of fun to watch offensively right now, and he's got a bomb of a shot. It's nice to see, and Petrovsky got in his first fight, which was nice for the group. And Teos has played phenomenally in the preseason. He's really working, and he's an ultimate team guy too. So.
Well, we've shared them on the show before. 2 of my favorite highlights from last season both came from defenseman Teos in the playoffs, killed a penalty down in our zone, and basically pinned the puck against the boards for a minute and a half.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've heard the Bayshore literally shaking where I thought maybe the walls were going to...
Well, they appreciated what he was doing, right?
Absolutely.
And that's a knowledgeable crowd. If they know that's, some crowds would be like, what are you doing? Like, well, come on, let's get this play going, where knowledge sinks in and he's sacrificing his body right there for the team.
Well, and I think that kind of goes back as well. I'm thinking about some of the things you had said in sort of the reveal party of you as head coach, and we had the town hall back in the summer, and just talking about like that Owen Sound style of hockey, getting back to Owen Sound hockey. Dale talked a bunch about it on the show as well, and that was one of those moments for me where I'm like, if that's Owen Sound hockey, like I'm in on stuff like that. Watching these guys just really battle, like you said, a dog on a bone. There's one puck and playing with it. So, things like that, great to watch and super exciting as well.
Yeah, and like Dale and I, it's early. We talk every day, but it's exciting to see it sinking in, right? Yeah. And when you play a team like North Bay, they're going to challenge you. They're going to challenge your work ethic all over the ice. And that might be the difference, and this is no disrespect to Barrie, but they're two different types of teams right now, where North Bay is kind of where we're at, and young and have to stick to our identity and our routes and where Barrie's a little older and they're going for it, and they have a lot more talent in certain areas because they're older.
Right.
And so you have to play them a little different too, right?
Sure.
So, but our guys, both games against them, played very well.
Yeah.
And they didn't back down from them, which it's tough against an older group. And then even with North Bay coming in here on Sunday, it was like, two twins playing each other. Who wants to be big brother tonight?
Right.
So that was fun. Excellent. It was a lot of fun.
You talked a little bit there just about playing to our identity, and I'm curious, as a coach, like how often do you have to kind of talk about hockey philosophy or what our identity is as a team to the players? Like, is there an element of kind of that, almost like casting a vision of who this team is onto the players? Yeah,
you got to have constant reminders. You gotta make them believe every day and every week. And for example, when we play Guelph Friday, Thursday we'll have our team video, but it'll be more about us video. And we're not going to break down the Guelph Storm at all. We're just going to show the Owen Sound attack, all of our pillars. And that's a D-zone swarm, and it's a neutral zone track, and it's a forecheck, it's blocking shots, it's being physical, making them stop. Those are all the pillars, and big saves that you're going to get. Those are all our pillars, and we'll put a 7 to 10 minute video so that they could see what they're doing and have it imprinted in their brains, so to speak. So and Brandon Shaw does an amazing job with video. I walk in today and he had 3 monitors going, and I'm like, I texted a picture to Dale, and what are we, an NHL war room now? Like, it was hilarious, and but that's how hard he works. Like, you can't put a dollar sign on that. Right. You know what I mean? Like, those are things that people don't understand. Like, it takes a village, and like, he's in there, he's got 3 monitors going, and then he walks out and he goes, he's losing it, and I'm like, what's wrong? He goes, I didn't pause it. So like, just like, it's kind of funny, but he's learning the way I want to have things presented to the kids. Sure. And that there's a method to the madness. Yeah. And those are the reasons we want every week. We want to see, and even in our video, we have bloopers. So like, if a kid, he's going to turn and he just blows a wheel and falls, and it's in there for them to laugh at, because if you can't laugh at yourself, who are you going to laugh at, right? So those are just, or we could just blame Trevor on our bad skate shop.
Okay. Well, we don't want to draw the ire of Stumps yet, because he does control the blades. So
he loves it.
Oh, absolutely. I'm curious, just kind of a little bit about camp. I don't want to spend too long on it because we're moving into the season.
Yeah.
Being the head coach, you kind of get to watch both your assistants coaching separate teams, and kind of viewing it more from a balcony level, kind of getting up out of the mess, being able to look down. And what are the kind of things that you're looking for in camp? Obviously, the decisions ultimately come down to Dale as to who's on the team and off the team, but being the head coach, I'm sure, your opinion matters in that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
What are some of the things that you look for when you're trying to compare, even during rookie camp, when there's not necessarily seasoned OHL players on the ice? What are you comparing them to when they're down there?
Well, I think during rookie camp, you really see who stands out. If the way they're working, you know what I mean? Like somebody might not be the most talented guy on the ice, but his work ethic is above everybody else's. Yeah. And then you obviously see who is the most talented kid at that age group, because they are with their peers. And then once we get to main camp, you'll see where they slot in. Pierce Bowie has been phenomenal in both, and he's had a great preseason. You could see that, his brain and his hockey IQ is very high. Regan O'Grady played with Cole Perfetti, and he kind of says he looks like Cole, which is a pretty big compliment. Yeah. I'll take that. If he's like Cole in 3 years, I'll take it all day long. So, and that's what you're looking for. And also for me, like I was in those shoes with Regan and Brandon for 7 years being on the bench, and they're trying to just, learn what the players are saying or doing, or, how's their body language. Like there's a lot that goes into it, right? Like when you pick a player, you hope you got a really good player, but you hope you got a better person at the same time. Absolutely. And some players are hard on themselves, but then some players are just hard on other people, and you got to figure that out, right? We have a player, Waddick he's a conundrum to me, because he'll literally pump up the team and, wow, look at that play, look, oh my God, and he'll make one bad play and he'll be all over himself. And it's like, hey, like just, you're so positive to everybody else. Maybe if you told yourself you're pretty good, sometimes you're going to be pretty good. So, and that's one thing I want him to know, is we're going to stay on him to keep him positive on his own game, because then that hopefully will transfer into his game.
Well, and you can see that passion even in practice. Like, you see the head go down or the stick go into the glass, but I mean, at the same time, you're like, that's a kid who wants it. Like,
well, he's not being malicious to others. No, and that's the I thought he always was, being on the other side, and I thought he, just under his breath about his teammates. No, that's not even close to what it is. It's more that he just, wants perfection out of himself, and he's not getting it, and he's going to let everybody know it. So
is that almost a motivator then to the other, teammates there, to one, like obviously having each other's back, like they want to also support him, but two, like, does that drive for better from self? Does that kind of then overflow onto the other
possibly
players around him?
Possibly, but if it goes too long, it just turns into a just background noise. That's where we got to step in.
Excellent. Well, why don't we've got a couple of highlight packages here to look at of some of the games, and we'll go ahead and run those. We'll be right back after each game. We'll break some of those down for you. So for those of you watching online, if you didn't get to catch the games or weren't able to come in person, now is the time you will be able to catch some of those highlights. So we'll go ahead and roll the first game here at the Bayshore.
Went right through the crease. Here come the attack back the other way, though. Gates now sent that ahead. There's a chance. Shot, scores! Jordan! Teos Jordan, welcome back. And kicked right out at the last second by the goalkeeper. Back out to center. Rogers quickly on it. Already liking Rogers' game. Now Bowie drops it off. Kindry shot, scores! Ethan Kindry! Whoa, look at that bullet! Newton now spins, lost his edge in the corner and went down. Barton, a quick shot from the point. That one tipped out front by Newton, but wide. There's another shot, scores! Unlucky bounce. Not sure if it was tipped, but the traffic definitely blocked the vision of Hrebeck, and Braden Rogers and the attack are back up by 2.
Since he's been 16 years old, the attack players have all said that he's got one of the best shots on the team. And you see it right there, a quick release. He has absolutely no time to release that shot.
He's 27 seconds on the power play. Moves it ahead, finds Hookie by himself. Landon Hookie scores! What a pass for Landon Hookie. A breakaway power play goal. Up the wing, that's Newton. Newton gets the feedback. Newton centers it, scores! Right on the doorstep was Justin Hanser, who took the perfect centering feed. He makes no mistake, and it's a 2-goal game again.
Well, there's your first highlight package there against the Barrie Colts. What did you like from that game? I mean, you had offense all over the board. You had defensemen getting into it. Obviously, a great pass from Rogers up to Hooks and able to bury that one. So it just seems like a great kind of swath of offense there. Any key takeaways for the team? What did they learn from that game?
I think the first couple goals we got when Kindry scored and Tea scored, we work on kicking pucks out a lot in practice. So if you could see, we have one guy driving and then we're kicking it out and then we're continuing our route. And that's when I think it was Bowie that made the pass to Jordan, I believe, or vice versa to Kindry, but they're both the carbon copies of what we practice every day. So it was awesome to see that. It was great to see that, and you then the kids start to believe it even more, right? Yeah. And then Rogers' power play goal at the start of the year, training camp. He had a little bit of happy feet and he wanted to take over the power play. And me coming from Ty Nelson, I understand that early in his career where he just wanted to do a lot. And I'm asking him, and I'm like, Raj, why are you coming down here? Why are you not just being our quarterback? And he goes, well, I watched a lot of Sedley. And I'm like, well, you're not Sedley. You just be Rogers. And if you can just be a little more composure, have a little more composure up here and a little more structured, you should do well. And he just put a puck on net and went in, right? Excellent. And then I guess with the last goal, just a great quick up, and we work on quick ups every day, and it was an awesome quick up and great by Hooks to get behind their D, and a great shot. Hooks has had a really good training camp, especially in training camp when we did have our inter squad games and whatnot. He was, very impactful. So I hope, for his sake, he gets off to a really good start, because then that snowballs your season, right? For sure. And he knows we're behind him, and he has a lot of things to his game that a lot of players don't have, and we're hoping he can round out his entire game, right? And he's a big physical guy, and sometimes you got to answer the bell there, but he also has good hands in tight, and he's a great teammate. Like you saw when Rod scored there, he was the happiest guy on the ice, and he didn't even touch the puck. So those are good things. Excellent,
fantastic. Well, I think a lot of good things there from that game. We'll jump into, I believe, the game here against North Bay at the Bay Shore. We'll take a look at these highlights, and we'll be right back.
Staff, the management, the fans, everybody. Here's a turnover to Shom coming down the left wing with the wrist shot, scores! No mistake there, under the glove of the netminder, and the North Bay Battalion go up 1-0. Comes to an end at that point. For the Battalion, they actually had 7 defensemen dressed here today. Here's a chance, Waddick a shot, he scores! Declan Waddick beats the buzzer here in the first, and the game is tied 1-1. Blanc, this one goes off a ton of bodies. It ultimately got to the net, passed out and setting up for the Battalion. Terry and across, backdoor, what a pass across, and they score.
That is as beautiful as a tic-tac-toe play as you're going to see.
Wide pass Crawford, Rosian in flight. Here's an open Gates, takes a shot, save, rebound, Rosian scores! The attack put it on net, and they bang home the rebound to tie the game at 2. Ski puts Owen Sound ahead on the shot clock. Here's Bruce McDonald, and he got wrapped up there And to the surprise of many, no call on the play.
There aren't many fans at this preseason game on a Sunday afternoon, but the ones that were here were loud.
McDonald, Jordan scores! Teos Jordan gives the attack their first lead of the game. The net, they go forward on goal, but it's not there. And the horn sounds, and the Owen Sound attack will cap off the preseason with a 3-2 hard-fought win over the North Bay Battalion.
Well,
excellent. Well, just another few examples there of some of the things we've been talking about driving to the net and pucks going in. From that North Bay game, a couple of highlights for yourself. What would they be?
Well, seeing Rafiq score a goal there, he was pretty happy for himself. That was really good. Like, you know, people don't understand that young man had to fly 26 hours in the air to get here. I don't know. There's a lot of kids that just have homesickness just being 2-3 hours away from home. So I could, you know, I couldn't imagine what he's going through some days, right? And then, you know, some good work, you know. I don't know how that was a non-call on McDonald, but hey, like, you know, good karma on our side. Yeah. So, and Teos scored a goal, and he waved to the 100 people that was in front of him, and he thought he was in Maple Leaf Gardens. So, you know, it was a good, you know, good back and forth, chippy hockey game. Sure. Not a lot of room out there. It seemed like it was very tight. Yeah. It almost was a real tough game of ping pong at some point. So it was a competitive game. Like I told you, maybe off the air, that, you know, it was like two brothers going at it. Like it was just that's how we want to play, and it was nice to play well and hard against them.
And you know, obviously Carter, George, you know, tons of experience between the pipes here. Faced a lot of rubber last year. Yeah. And you know, it's it might be a new thing for some of these attack fans to see shot counts, you know, maybe closer to around 30 than around 50, and you know, just lots of things it seems like coming together, and Kaprowski playing solid in net.
Solid.
Like, I don't know if people are, you know, he's not the Kaprowski who came in and played a couple of games last season.
Well, you got to remember age too, right? He's had another big summer of training. Yeah. He's a big goaltender. Yeah. He's in a good mind space right now. I didn't know anything about him coming here, just because obviously getting hired, and he was in junior B, and but he's done a heck of a job. Like even in practice, he has good habits. He's, you know, some goalie. I've been around goalies where you're just like, can you just please try? Where no, like he's getting peppered because Georgie is gone, and our goalie that. Noah, that's helping out, is with his junior C club, or he's at University at Guelph. So sometimes Corpo's getting probably up to around 400 shots of practice. So, but he's been fantastic. And the way things are going, who knows how long Georgie's going to be gone. We're going to probably need him for Friday, Saturday. But good on him, right? Like he wants that, I'm sure. Coming into the summer and then coming here, he's probably like, well, you know, how many games am I going to get? Because I do have Carter George in front of me. But Carter needs somebody to push him too. You know, I've seen it with elite goalies. If they don't have that one guy pushing them, where they, you know, they have to look over their shoulder just a little bit to keep that competitive edge, well, I think he's going to see that Corpo's going to push him, and then that's good.
Is there an element, I mean, not being a goalie yourself, is there an element to being a goalie that, you know, having somebody, you know, like that you know, if you're not playing that night, he's solid between the pipes anyways? Is that also one of those things that maybe even as much as it pushes, also relieves some pressure off of you as well? Yeah,
for sure. I think having the backup have a mindset of starting every night is valid. It's crucial. I'm coming from a program where Dom DiVincentis was, you know, I watched him grow up in front of me, and you didn't know, the crazy thing about him is you didn't know if he was starting or not. And I never understood that, because usually you know when a goalie's starting and you know when the backup's not. He's usually playing two-touch and hanging out with the boys and joking around, and where Dom, it was it was crazy. Like I got tired watching them get ready for a game, and now watching Georgie, it's like they're twins. Yeah. So it's like you understand. Okay, there it is. Like there's the mindset, you know. But yeah, I think I went to bed some nights after games hearing those balls hit the wall like doom, 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 and it's just a rhythm, nonstop for 20 minutes, and you're like, holy cow! But it works, right?
Excellent. How do you, as a head coach, like, how do you manage, you know, something like a goalie situation? Like, what are some indicators for you when you're looking at maybe making a swap in net or deciding who's starting and who's sitting? What are indicators just for your style, not necessarily pertaining to our two goalies?
Right.
What are some?
No, I think that if you got to understand where your team's at too while he's playing. Like, he could be giving up nothing, and yet your team's not playing in front of him.
Right.
And he lets a couple stinkers in, and then all of a sudden you pull him. It's more to wake the team up,
right,
than for the goaltender, right?
Yeah.
And you know, like that's usually 9 times out of 10. Like, yeah, there's nights where the first one goes in, and then the next one goes in, and then you're like, uh-oh. So those are the times that it's an easy fix.
Right.
It's usually just to shock the system of the boys and get them going. And as for your other question, we'll look over the schedule, and we'll look at where our 3 and 3s are. We'll look where our travel days are. You know, if it's a long travel between each game, or and then later in the season where other teams are in the standings. Mm-hmm. You know. You have to find starts, and I feel for Carter, like the magic number should be about I'm thinking 44.
Sure.
You know, like, or maybe hopefully less. Like that way he's sharp, right? That way, you know, knock on wood, we can, you know, make a little noise and go a little further than everybody else thinks.
Sure.
But you have to have a good tandem going.
Yeah.
And you know, and you got to keep both sharp, because you're not going to do you're not going to do any good to Corpo just sitting them on the bench every night.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, very fair. And I mean, as much as we've got only a minute left here, but as much as we love watching a 50 save shutout from Carter Jordan.
Oh yeah.
We hope.
Yeah, those are special.
Those definitely special.
Hopefully we don't give up 50 shots.
Yeah. Doing that on the road in Kitchener as well.
At the odd,
a couple of TAC fans there maybe walking out with their chins held a little.
Yeah, they didn't have to hear that goal song.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Scott, thank you so much for joining us here on the show today. We're going to be back next week. We'll have a couple of players joining us as well. Make sure you tune in to that next week. We've got, again, congratulations to Bev Piercy. We'll be back next week on Tuesday. And make sure you guys check it out. We've got our home opener here on Saturday, season opener on Friday. Both games against Guelph next week on the 4th down at Brantford, and then on the 5th, Saturday, home to Kitchener. Congrats, Bev, again on winning your tickets there. We'll be back next week. Thanks so much for watching Attack Wrap. I'm your host, Nick Kennedy on Rogers TV. We'll see you next week.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.
These days at your local Legion, we're marching to the beat of a different drum. On a mission to support veterans, to have fun, and to welcome everyone to our ranks. You don't have to be a veteran to join the Legion. And as a member, you'll join thousands of others serving our veterans, our communities, and our country. Oh yeah, and our Member Perks program will save you thousands on shopping, dining, products, and services across the country. Join us at legion.ca.
I'll always protect you. She is my sister, and she's missing. You saved her more than once. I know you'll save her again. You took all of me.
I have access to everyone you love. What happens next is on you.
I'm coming for you. And you will pay for all the pain you caused.
I'll be waiting.